Hello, you're listening to Lists and Other Things That No One Asked For with Jesse Barbin, your weekly mini podcast where stuff usually takes the form of a list about pop culture, music, growing up. So I hope you like it. I personally dislike the idea of a guilty pleasure. People should be able to like whatever they like without guilt, be it art, literature, music, film, television, anything else, food, snacks. However, there's something built into our culture that holds that certain things, certain works of art are in higher esteem than others. Consequently, there are two reasons that you don't want to be seen as having bad taste. First, there's some social capital in having good artistic taste, and second, if a person is into the same stuff as you, it's kind of a good indicator that you have things in common, you think the same, and maybe it's a shortcut to becoming friends. So having bad taste, conversely, would limit your friends possibly. Even so, the older I get, the less I care about being cool. A lot of what is deemed cool is deemed that way by critics, and I can see that sometimes, as I'm older, critics get things wrong, at least in the more pop art forms, such as film and music. Sometimes critically acclaimed movies will not hold up over time, and movies that get panned initially will later be reevaluated and people will realize it wasn't so bad after all, and maybe even quite good. I also think that a lot of criticism comes down to what you would call groupthink, where a group reaches a consensus without sufficient critical analysis, and people are afraid to voice dissenting opinions. Critics' reviews don't all come out at once. They trickle out gradually, and I have to think that early reviews can't help but influence reviews that come later. No one wants to like something that everyone else hates, nor do they want to dislike something that everyone else is in love with, especially if their professional reputation is at stake. Ultimately, I have decided that the more you can divorce your tastes from what critics and others think, the more you can enjoy your life. I try to free my mind and just enjoy what I enjoy without reservations. That being said, there are still multiple things that I thoroughly enjoy, but I am super embarrassed about. First, if I had to pick a guilty pleasure song, it's probably Tonight Tonight by Hot Shell Ray. I remember this dumb song being on the radio nonstop around 2010, 2011. And yes, I didn't always have an aux cord to plug in back then, so sometimes I did listen to radio in the car. It was a different time. That song was always on. It is trying too hard and it's ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure they're just a one-hit wonder band, but that song puts a smile on my face whether I want to or not. The lyrics are dumb and dated now, but it still makes me happy if it comes on shuffle. I'm a sucker for songs with la la la's and na na na's. Another musical guilty pleasure I have is BTS, the Korean boy band, currently on hiatus since the members are serving their mandatory time in the Korean military. I've mentioned them before, but what I haven't mentioned is just how deep I've gotten into the BTS ecosystem. My kids are the ones who introduced me. They love them, and I can't blame them. The music is engineered to stick in your head, and if you watch their interviews, the band members seem to be genuinely nice people. I get that it's all part of the product that's being sold, but I enjoy the music and I enjoy talking about it with my kids. Side note, I took a test to see which member of BTS I am, and I got Jimin. I thought that was wrong, because I think of myself as more of an RM. He has oldest child energy, and I identify with that. Or maybe a V. He's the best singer. So I took it a second time and got Jimin again, so it must be true. I also have food guilty pleasures. I'm embarrassed to say, but one of them is McDonald's. It's been affected by inflation and price gouging like everything else. I sure miss those $1 drinks, but it still feels sort of affordable, you know? Like I could take $5 and still ruin my afternoon intestinally. Where they've really been getting me lately is the weird sauces. They had a BTS meal, and we're back to BTS. They had a BTS meal with chili sauce or something last year, and earlier this year they had a McDonald's anime soy sauce. I don't understand the specifics of how it came into being. I just know that it's delicious, and they took it away, and I miss it every day. I also know that a 6-piece nuggets with some weird sauce is pretty great. I wouldn't admit to it in mixed company, but it definitely will cheer me up in a pinch. Another food, specifically beverage, guilty pleasure I have is Mountain Dew. They just have so many flavors. If I'm honest, most of them are just different colors, and they all really taste like 90s Halloween candy or just regular Mountain Dew. But every time I'm in line at the grocery store and see a new strain of Mountain Dew glistening in the fridge, I freak out. I can't help it. Mountain Dew's marketing department has their hooks in me. No one's asking, but Mountain Dew Spark is my favorite of the new varieties. The last food guilty pleasure for me is Texas Roadhouse, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. Texas Roadhouse is not really what I'm about. Country music, steak, and America. I like steak, but I'm not a guy who's like all about steak or like the rarer the better or anything like that. Those type of guys are the worst. But about twice a year, I find myself really craving Texas Roadhouse, and I'm not sure why. Honestly, I think it's the rolls and honey butter that they give you while you're waiting for your food to come out. If it were socially acceptable to go to Texas Roadhouse and just have rolls and honey butter, I would totally do that. My last guilty pleasure is the Great British Bake Off. And I even like the seasons after Mary Berry and Mel and Sue left, and I feel very guilty about that. So these are my guilty pleasures, or at least the ones I'm willing to admit to. For next week, if you're playing along at home, let's list what we hope to get out of the coming summer. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. New episodes every Monday. If you prefer reading, there's a Substack. You can talk to me on any social medias at Jesse Barbin. Have a good week.